Hey everybody, so I am 34 weeks today, and let me tell you, I feel it. um, I haven't had like too exciting of a week. I haven't had any appointments or anything. I did have a birthing class that I'll talk about, but just like normal, I'll tell you about the two apps that I have. My Pregnancy Plus app still is saying the babies are about the size of, not cantaloupes, of honeydew, and that they should be weighing anywhere from like 4 pounds, like 4 pounds, 8 ounces to like a little more than 5 pounds. And then the What to Expect app says that the babies are the size of pineapples this week, and also say that the baby should be weighing right around 5 pounds. Both apps also say that this week they should be measuring between 18 and 20 inches. And I can't remember if I mentioned in my last video that both apps also both say that around this time the babies really don't grow lengthwise much more. Some maybe do a little bit, but overall the length that they are now is probably what they will be born as. So right now they're just putting on that weight. So we'll see. I have an OB appointment next week. I don't get the measurements of the babies at those appointments. She just checks for the heartbeats. And then I do have my perinatal appointment in 2 weeks. So at that appointment, they measure the size of the babies. So hopefully I'll get an idea about how big these babies have gotten. You know, if it's true what they say, the half-pound a week rule, right about now they'd be weighing about 6 pounds each. So I don't know if that's still accurate for them or what we have going on, but that's what the apps say this week. So our birthing class last week was our second class. We have 4. And so far I really am enjoying the classes. I think that they're really, really good. They're really informative. I really, really like the nurse that is running our class. But last week we were supposed to do a hospital tour, and unfortunately there weren't any rooms available. They were all taken. So we didn't get to do a hospital tour, which kind of bummed me out. Hopefully we'll get to do that today. We're actually, we have a class tonight. So that I would like to do. You know, fingers crossed that all the birthing suites aren't being used, that, you know, there's somebody out there who's not giving birth. But last week's class we focused on like birthing positions, and we got to see the different kind of tools and stuff that could possibly be used during labor. And the position part, of course, like I mentioned, Chris and I definitely laughed, but we weren't the only ones. Everyone was pretty uncomfortable. It's kind of awkward when you have to get in some of these weird positions in front of a group of people that you don't know all at the same time. Like we were all kind of like on the floor and, you know, like on our hands and knees in certain times, and then like holding our husbands. And yeah, it was definitely, it had potential to be really awkward. But overall we definitely learned some good things. Unfortunately for, you know, my particular situation is a lot of those positions and different like massage techniques and different, you know, ways to help ease pain is fantastic if you go into labor naturally. But if I have to be induced, which I mentioned last week, we'll be setting our induction date next week. Unless I go into labor naturally, then most of those won't really do a whole lot for me, because when you, at least what the nurse was explaining in the class, is that if you do get induced, most of the time you are bedridden for that time, and that's just because of everything they have you hooked up to. You can't really move around, you can't really walk around to get things moving, and that's like if they have to put the Foley bulb in there, and some other, I don't even know what else they possibly would use besides the balloon thing. But she did pass those around during class, and the different tools that possibly could be used. And some of them are kind of scary looking. Thankfully, this hospital doesn't really use the forceps anymore, because those things are terrifying. They look like gigantic salad tongs, and the thought of having to have that used is terrifying. But they don't really, she said that they have pretty much at this hospital stopped using the forceps just because it causes a lot more damage to the mom. you know, will rip and tear you a lot more. And then it also, they have a lot of problems with causing things to the baby. So we obviously don't want to use that. This hospital is a lot more prone to use the vacuum, where they would stick it on top of the baby's head and kind of help suck it out if the baby is stuck or something. So we did get to see what all of those look like. The one thing that both Chris and I were not huge fans of, and I know that they're used often, and I know it's not a big deal, but is the internal heart rate monitor. So if during labor, if the baby is moving too much or they're not able to get a good read on, you know, their heart rate, they will stick an internal monitor up there. And basically, if the baby's head down, it will go into the top of their head. And what it is, it's a tiny little like corkscrew looking thing that basically screws into the top part of their head. And it's just it's a superficial thing, so it's just, you know, barely in their skin. But just looking at it, we were both like, oh, that's really sad. I don't want that, but obviously if that's what's needed, if they, like for Caleb, for example, since he's the one that's head down, obviously we want to make sure he's okay. So if that's what they need to do, then that's what they need to do. But she was saying that, like, you know, little bald babies, which is what I was, so I wouldn't be surprised if these kids are bald or have little blonde hairs or maybe even red hair, but we'll see about that. But that you could see where the little monitor was because it got screwed into their head and it leaves like a little corkscrew looking scab. That makes me so sad. But we'll see. I mean, who knows what's going to need to be used in our case. So that was how that class went. I can't remember today. I think we're going to try and go on the tour today, and then they're going to have an anesthesiologist come and talk to us about epidurals. And originally, I wanted to try and do labor as natural as possible if we were pregnant with one baby. But since I'm pregnant with twins and everything that we have going on, you know, with her being breech, I want that epidural. If I have to have them manually flip her, internally try and flip her, I'm getting an epidural. I don't want to feel any of that if I can avoid it. And then obviously if I end up needing to have a C-section, I would need to have my spinal block in anyways. So, yeah. So tonight is an important class for me to pay attention to. But that's kind of what we had going on this last week. It'll be interesting this next week at my OB appointment setting the induction date. I don't know if we'll set it at the appointment or if we'll just talk about it and then she'll kind of let me know, you know, when that date works out best. But then we have another birthing class, and so yeah, next week will be good. As far as how I'm feeling, just like I said last week, I'm feeling huge. I'm feeling uncomfortable. I can't sleep well. But this week, the swelling has kind of gone to a whole nother extreme, at least on my feet and my legs. I was supposed to go grocery shopping with Chris today, and I couldn't go. Walking just around the house hurts the top of my feet because they're so stretched out. Just walking alone is very, very painful. And yeah, I mean, I do everything I can to help with the swelling, and having my feet propped up does help, but only for so long, and you can only sit like that for so long before you have to move because it's just so uncomfortable. So that's where we're at. I'm so ready for these babies to be here. I know, you know, I still need them to stay in for a couple more weeks, but once I hit that 36-week mark, if they want to come on out, I'm all right with that. So, yeah, I think that's kind of it this week. I'll show you my ever-growing belly because that's what we have going on. So again, 34 weeks today. And there it is, the gigantic belly. All right, well, I hope you guys all have a great rest of your week, and I look forward to my next update. We'll see you guys later. Bye.